Oh, hey, how is it going?
Hello.
Hey, Martha,
Hi.
how are you today?
I'm good.
Oh,
I am really excited to be here talking with you.
I'm excited to have you too because it's been a dream of mine for at least 6 weeks.
Wow. Okay, I'm happy to make the dream come true.
Oh, fantastic, fantastic. Hey, how is everybody doing today? Love to love to hear how people are doing. Leave a comment in the chat. Matthias, is Citizen Kane a good movie? To that, I can say I don't know. Have you seen Citizen Kane, Martha?
No, I don't think so. But I'm really bad also with movie names, so you really never know. Maybe.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, all right. It is. It. I have seen it in the last week. I've seen Citizen Kane in the top 5 movies of all time on 3 different best of movie lists. So it is
Okay.
a thing.
So it's something to take a look at then.
Yes.
Probably.
Yeah. 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 And it's been around for like ever, right? Like this is not a slouch of a movie. It's been here. I mean, I don't even remember who directed it, but some bigwig guy, you've heard of.
Hmm.
It's black and white, so it's old.
Oh, it's a classic.
Yeah. Yeah. So like it's
Oh.
and I don't know, but most of the movies from that time, I feel like they drag out. They do lots of like long panning shots, and
They do.
I don't
They
know.
have more time in general. Everything's slower.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, 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 yes. Well, it's good to see everyone. Kevin, Donald, Stina, JP. Good to see you guys. So nice to see you. Um, before we dive into everything, though, I want to introduce Martha to everyone. Martha, why don't you give us a little rundown of who are you, what do you do, that type of a thing, so
Yes, all
people
things.
know you.
Okay. Yes. So who am I? I'm from Norway. That's something, I guess. Oslo.
Norway.
Yeah.
Okay.
All the way up north. So now it's evening time. So that's also something. So I've already had this long day of work, but you're on lunch right now, right, Chris?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is our lunch and
Yeah.
learn. Yep.
Yeah. So this is for me the evening seminar. That's cool.
Okay.
Uh,
Yeah.
and I'm a Microsoft MVP in data platform.
Oh,
So that's
awesome.
cool, and it's quite new. So I got it in June, and I'm really excited about it. And I think think it's
Well,
so
that's
cool. So
fantastic.
yeah, that's great. So
Donald
that's
saw your
quite fun.
presentation at Paz in
Oh,
Seattle. So,
that's great. Okay, so it's gonna be So I'm going to Seattle. Maybe that could be part of the introduction, and we're gonna have it's gonna be more on this data flow journey actually. So it's
mm,
gonna be the battle of the transformation tools, which is
real.
part of the data engineering thing that we might talk about today. So if you like
Okay.
this, I mean, come to our past session. It's gonna be better, more.
Well,
Sure.
and so
Yeah.
you're going to be in Paz, right? Like
Yes.
that is a great thing to know. But there's a couple places where outside of that where people can get a hold of you, right? Like uh, LinkedIn. That's
LinkedIn, that's the easiest one if you want to like reach out and get in contact. That
Yep,
that
yep.
works.
There's LinkedIn. There's
Mm-hmm.
Twitter, right? You're on
Mm-hmm.
Twitter, right?
Yes.
And you're also at Data Ascend. That's your blog, is that right?
Yes. True.
Okay, awesome.
It is. So yeah, and should I say that too? Because I'll do a lot of rambling. You might know that, Chris. So just stop me. But but the name of the blog is called Data Send because I am a climber, or I climb, or I'm collecting the highest peaks in Norway. So because there's this list of the peaks that are above 2,000 meters. So I'm collecting them, and that means that you sometimes need to climb. So like you're ascending, right, and then you're
Yeah.
ascending the data. So like that's the connection, and yeah, so that's why it's called that. If
Holy
someone needs to
cow! How
remember it,
many mountains above 2,000 have you been on?
I've been on. I know this. It's. I think it's. It's around. I think it's 211.
Get the what?
Yeah, but there's so many. Like there's still more. So there's 377, I think, on the list that I follow. So it
Oh
takes
my!
years and years
Oh
to.
my!
I know. So
That's
there's
a lot.
a couple of seasons left, I guess.
Holy cow! Yes. Well, but that's good though, right? Glad
Yeah.
that you're able to hit it and get out there. What kind of training do you have to do for one of these?
Well, I mean, you should do a lot of training, I guess. I mean, it would be cool if you did if you did trainings and if you went inside and climbed with the ropes and did all of that. I don't because I think it's not that fun. I like the outdoors way,
Okay.
the outdoorsy way better. So I don't really train for it. I just do it, and then throughout the season, you just become better. But mostly because you stop being that afraid of heights because it's this
Mm,
you need to like work on that scary part. But I
okay.
did I did take a course back in the days, like 9 years ago. Yeah,
Okay.
well, where I learned how because you need to put in your own anchors and like things
Right.
into the mountain, right? And all of those technical things. It's good to know how to do that, and I think it's called trad climbing, in like the English way. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All
So
right.
it's trad climbing, and
Well,
then you
that's
put
cool.
in your
And
anchors, and then you climb, and then you bring it back. Yeah.
all right, so you got
Mhm.
like 100 plus that you still want to get through.
Yeah.
Um, what's the worst of them?
I mean that depends, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so I think I've done the worst because they are really dependent on weather. You need it to be like because you'll be climbing for like 24 hours if you're not the quickest one, and I'm not the quickest one. So
Oh
you need a
my.
lot of time, and you need the weather window to be like no wind and sunny, or at least no rain. But in the
Okay.
summer in Norway, it's not that dark, so you can walk through the night and then be ready to climb, like reach reach the mountain in the morning and then climb. Yeah. So
This is
those are the hardest one, I think.
Martha
So
Mountains is the new
yeah,
nickname you've picked up in our
yeah,
live stream here.
yeah. Oh, I love that. Okay, so if you're really interested, the area is called Hurungane.
What's that?
Hurungane. Hurungane. So that's the so that's the like mountain area in Norway where it's most alpine climbs, right? So that will be the most tricky area to climb. If
Okay.
someone is really interested, it's called Hurungane. Yeah,
Hoodanana.
yeah,
Hoodanana,
very great,
hoodanana, hoodanana.
perfect, exactly that.
All right. Okay. So that is you. You do mounting. You just got your MVP.
Yes,
How exciting! How
yeah,
wonderful! You're a consultant, right? You're
yes.
you're working in data, so people can like actually work with you if they get a
Oh
consulting
yes,
engagement with
that
you,
will be
right?
fun.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes. Yes.
true, true. That's also true. Yes, you can work with me. Hmm.
Awesome. But let's rewind a little bit. I like to like
Yeah,
go back.
yeah.
Think about like 5-year-old Martha. You were thinking like when you grow up, I'm gonna be an astronaut, or I'm gonna be a scientist, or I'm gonna be a police hero, or I don't know what 5-year-old Martha was thinking she was gonna do. But
Oh, that's
how
such a
did
good
you
question.
go from what you what you had thought when you were a child to
Hmm.
where you are today?
Oh, wow. Well, I think, I mean, the whole journey. Now, how do I tell that in like the short story? But okay, okay. So I started. I didn't really. I wasn't that good with maths and science and like those things.
Hmm.
So I was like, okay, I can do that. I'm gonna do. I don't know, become a movie star, something like that. That type of thing.
Yeah,
But
a movie
then
star.
yeah, or I don't know. I remember that was on the list at some point. At some point,
Okay,
it was on the list, and also working on a farm in general with animals. I guess that was also on the list. So we had like two different.
farmer movie
I
star.
know, I know. So
That
I
apply
mean,
from
I was
MVP.
open. I had options, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But then at some point it sort of it clicked on the science things, right? So I
Yeah.
learned the maths and all of that, and then
Okay.
so then that was cool, and then I knew that I wanted to be so what do you call that? It's like a technical engineering, right? So you would work with building things and in the physical world, so you would be
Okay.
doing physics and all of that. So I studied that. I went to do marine technology,
Hmm.
so that's what I did. But then, I started doing marine cybernetics. And then I realized that the cool thing about marine cybernetics is when you make things autonomous, right? And if you
Sure.
make ships autonomous, that's super cool. So they can just go out there, do the things in the right places, and then on their own, and save the fuel because they know how to maneuver the waves. And I mean, all of that. It's so cool.
Wow.
That will change the world. All of that. Like that was what I figured. But then you need data, and it was so bad. Like the data was crap. No one had it. There were no databases. Like, it was not possible to access it, so you couldn't really make the ships autonomous because they didn't know what they were going to do, right? They didn't have any
Right.
data to learn from. So that's how I learned that, oh, I need to learn data. And then I applied for an internship in data.
Oh,
Yeah.
that is fantastic.
And then I
That's a
just fell in
great
love with the whole
journey.
thing. Yeah. So
But
that's
that
my
doesn't complete
journey.
your journey.
Yeah.
You went on to become a data platform MVP. So you must have done
Yay.
some significant work in there. You've written your blog. You've got that out there. I think you have something else big that you're working on, right? Am I
Yes.
am I right?
You guys asking so great questions, Chris. I'm so happy you asked that question. So we are doing, okay. So it's called. I mean, I'm doing different things on organizing. So Data Saturday Oslo, and then Microsoft Data Platform User Group Norway. But then, but then we're doing something brand new, and it's super cool, and it's called Fabric February. Yay!
Oh, Fabric February. That is going to be
Wow!
fantastic. So
And
I honestly, uh, uh, I'm actually going to share this. So, uh, like, is this out? Do you see us? Oh no, I got to turn this on. Here we go. The Fabric February, right? Like,
Ooh.
so it's. Correct me if I'm wrong. This is live in Norway, right?
Yes, exactly. It is.
And so, like, there's going to be snacks, right? Oh, and
Yes.
Catherine hit that already, right?
Yes. Great.
Oh, that is
Go, Catherine.
fantastic. Um, Tell us about this.
Yeah, okay. So it's got, yeah, what I mean, there's so much to say, right? But it's gonna be this only dedicated to, like, it's a brand new conference dedicated to Microsoft Fabric. So we're doing all things Microsoft Fabric. We're working to see if we can pull in some product managers from Microsoft to really, teach us all the things and all the details and all the good stuffs. So we're going to have a conference on Thursday, 8th of February, which is going to be, I mean, and the snacks is just going to be so good. I mean, it's a lot about the snacks. We have our own snack sponsor. I'm just saying, they're like the highest level in the sponsorship plan is the snack sponsor. We already
Snack
secured that, so we're good.
sponsor.
So so that's really important. And the day after, we're gonna do
Oh,
something.
well, hang on a second. Hold on.
Okay,
Let's plug
okay,
your
hold on.
snack sponsor. Who's the snack sponsor?
Who's the snack sponsor?
Yeah.
Oh, it's Ben Weissman.
All right, Ben Weissman. Thank you, Ben.
Yeah. So
Sorry, keep
yeah.
going. Keep going.
Yeah, no, but and obviously he jumped to that, jumped right on that, and I get it. It's the best sponsorship level. Yeah, so it's gonna be an entire day of a lot of great fabric content, really. And we're looking for sponsors. We're looking for speakers, and we're looking for attendees. So if
Okay.
anyone want to join, yeah, please do. It's gonna be amazing, obviously.
So you could sign up and register, but this is live in Norway, right? Like,
It's
so,
live in Norway, but we
and
are going to have some live streams
okay.
from our sponsors, and they're going to show how they're using Fabric, how it works, all of that. So it's going to be some opportunities to connect with us online too.
All right. So
Yeah.
make sure that you signed up and you've registered for Fabric February.
Yes.
And thank Ben Weissman for being the snack sponsor. He's
Yes.
clearly the runaway star of the show so far. That is
Yes.
fantastic.
It's
But
such an important role.
yes, it is such an important role. But
Yeah.
um, I think let's start to dive into this because I think we've got a great topic here.
Yes.
So as we do, this is our lunch and learn. So please, everyone, grab your cup of coffee, your beverage of choice, your slice of pizza, your hot pocket, your
The snacks.
protein shake, your snacks. Yes, grab your snacks.
Yeah, and if you have any snack options, put them in the chat. We're writing them down. Catherine is here. She's gonna write them down for me.
Oh,
That,
there you go. Yes, yes.
or I'm just
Oh,
assuming. So
you brought the team here, so this is
I
great.
did. Yeah, me and Catherine, Emily, Joanna, we're organizing. We're a great
Oh,
team.
that's fantastic. All right, so let's grab our drinks and let's take a sip, and then we're going to dive right into it. So,
Yeah.
all right. Okay,
Okay.
let's talk about citizen data engineering, right? That's the
Yes.
whole theme, that's the topic. It is a personal like passion of mine, and when I heard
Yes.
you say citizen data engineering, my brain dropped out of my head. I'm just like, we got to talk. So, can you explain to the people who are listening what is a citizen data engineer?
Okay. Yes. Should I do it like the short way, or should I actually now show you my presentation? Is this a good like
Oh yeah,
presentation
if you got a
mode?
presentation, yeah, let's do it.
I
Let's
got
get into
I
it.
got a presentation.
Holy cow, she came prepared, everyone.
I know. I
Look at
know.
this.
So I'm gonna
It's like
share
we're
it.
running a professional uh like Dealey Who here.
It's so professional. Okay. But then you need to just let me know if you have any questions, because right now I might not see you.
Oh, hang on a second here. Hang on. Before we go
Okay.
over to that, let's get into I forgot this last time. We
Okay.
are here to answer your questions, right? Like me and Catherine, we could, or Martha, we could talk offline and, all that stuff, but we wanted to answer your questions. So if you have any
Yes.
questions, please post those into the chat. Prefix it with a Q, just like I got in the cube. We're following the Matthew Roach rules. So we will get them queued up and we'll make sure that we get to them. Please don't spam any questions out there. We've not had that yet, but moderators, if this is the first time we have someone posting inappropriate things or spamming questions, please, do block them and stuff like that. So, other than that, we should be good to go. All right. Sorry, housekeeping. Now let's dive into
Yay.
what is a citizen data engineer.
Okay. So, let's see if I can do. So, I'm just gonna experiment for a very short moment in time and see if this works. Because then I can see both of you, or like, I mean, I can see us, and then I can see. Okay. No, it didn't work. Okay. Anyways, so that means that you need to just make some noise if you have any questions. Okay.
Not a problem.
Okay. Cool. So, yes, I have. So I have this slide deck. But also dependent on the question, just ask the questions, we'll see sort of where we end up. But I have some topics that we can talk about, so that can also give you some ideas for the questions. But I have this idea right here, right? And you're seeing that it's moving, right? You see what will we go through?
Yep.
It works perfect. Okay, cool. So really quickly, and I know that we're already. I mean, Chris, you were talking so much about Microsoft Fabric, so I don't need to dig into that probably that much, but I just want to place Microsoft Fabric before we start digging into the specific data engineering or citizen data engineering features. So then we're going to dig into that, and then we can talk a bit about data governance, because I can never talk enough about that. But let's also see, how much time we have, because I can talk about this all day, right? Okay.
Yep.
So, okay, very briefly, what happened, right? What was the thing with Fabric? Well, we heard this noise about something called Trident. That was this project at Microsoft. Someone might have heard like this name. Oh, this is going to be something cool. And then Fabric was launched. So that turned out to be Trident. And then ever since, it's just been this really gained hype. So we're still really excited about it. And it's like, it's still this really cool thing, right? But sometimes when Microsoft is releasing things, I mean, we're super excited, but then you start testing it and then you're not that excited, right? but with Fabric, I'm very much still very excited, right? So, and you know this, but Fabric is this all-in-one analytic solutions for enterprises, yes. And the idea is that you can move from the data lake to the business user. Okay. And what are we trying to solve? Well, there was this bunch of challenges with the old way of working with data. So we had a lot of different components. They needed to talk to each other. A lot of integration needed to happen. To govern all of this, you might need different sources, different tools, different solutions, a lot of things to just make your solution really work, right? And also the duplication of data all over the place. And also something that we will come into when we're talking more about data engineering, and it's also that it could be some technical barrier to actually do data engineering or to do transformation or to work with the data, because you might need to have specific competence on specific topics, right?
Sure.
So that's all these challenges. And then Fabric is introducing this one lake concept. So instead of having this, that you're having a lot of different data sources or data storage areas in different sort of places in your data warehouse, you now have this one lake that is this virtual logical data layer where you can put all your data. Right. So that's also one of the foundations that we will look into also, because I have a demo for you. So remember the one lake?
I'm pro demo.
Yeah, cool. Okay, amazing. And we'll see how it goes. But I did sacrifice some chocolate earlier today to the demo gods. So I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful. But yeah, okay. So one lake is important. We like that. Okay, what else? Who wants to? Yes. Okay. And then on top of that, we have all of these experiences, right? So instead of having, we had all of these different tools, different solutions, different technologies that needed to be integrated to do the transformations on your data, right? To move from poor quality or from the raw layer or from the source all the way to where the data provides value, right? All of these solutions, boom, now we have all of these experiences that you can access through Fabric inside the same user interface. So everything is there. Nice. And then that's also solving some of our challenges. We now have this single format in the one lake. Everything is integrated by default. That's great. And you also get this collaboration experience because everyone will be inside the same solution and seeing the same things. I mean, if they have access, because you can also you can also set up that.
But I think now,
Yeah,
I
sorry.
think there's a good question, and maybe
Oh,
this slide
perfect.
is a great time to answer it. Priyanka has asked,
Mm-hmm.
she thought Fabric was just a new name for Power BI. And I think you're
Oh,
going through and explaining this, right?
that's such a great question. Okay, so it's so much more, right? Like that's the short answer. But it's coming from your Power BI feel and touch. And if you've been using Power BI, it's gonna look the same and feel the same. So it's coming from the business intelligence way of working with data. So what they've done, or what it looks like they've done, right, is to just pull all the different Azure components that they liked, and also added one data activator. But they pulled the components that were working and they pulled them into Fabric, so that now you have Azure Data Factory that's now inside Fabric. You have your data warehouse that's all the or not all of them, but some of the features that you had in Synapse with notebooks and so on. That's pulled into Fabric. So you now get this one solution where you can do all the things that you previously needed to log into Databricks to do, log into ADF to do. Yeah, all of these different tools now in one place, and you can do all the things with data. Like that's the idea, right? You can transform it, you can build reports, you can move from bronze, silver, gold. So you can pull all your resources into Fabric, all your roles, right? So you can be a data engineer working here, you can be a data analyst working here, yeah, architects, well, or also the business analysts. Everyone should be in this one user interface and this one ecosystem really of your data that Fabric represents.
Yeah, and Martha, I absolutely love that explanation because it's designed to be a holistic environment to
Yes.
provide everyone in the organization with all of the potential options that they might need when it comes to working with data.
Mm.
And because the reality is, people may need to use all of these different components to get their job done. So they might need to have a data mart. They might need to have a data lake. They might need a data warehouse, right? And by having it together in one place, we can start to leverage the capabilities of the cloud, which is that like completely flexible infrastructure that we can scale to bring these things together, right? And make these accessible to people.
Yes.
Good question. Yeah. Now she had
Yes.
a follow up. She goes, "Do you
Yeah.
know why, or will Synapse go into this, or will it eventually die?"
Oh, okay. That's also really interesting. Like it's a big question, right? And I've gotten it before because people are afraid that, oh no, my existing solutions will just not work anymore because now Fabric is the new shiny thing. But to just answer like the first part of the question, so Synapse has been moved into Fabric, so that the solutions that you had in Synapse you now can work with in Fabric, except with some exceptions. They, for instance, they didn't pull in mapping data flows into Fabric. But and I, no, and I'm not a Synapse expert, but I've heard that we're not that happy with mapping data flows, so maybe that's why they didn't pull it in. I don't know, but that's just a guess. But Microsoft is also really clear that they are not gonna, like, nothing is gonna die, right? The Synapse will still be there. It's still gonna work, and it's also gonna it's also possible to integrate Synapse with Fabric, so that if you want to use like parts of your Synapse solution, you can still use that together with Fabric. If that is valuable to you, or if you want to combine the solution, or if you're in between merging from Synapse towards Fabric.
Well, and
That would
I think
also.
Sanjay had a good follow up. Why didn't they just modify Synapse just to make it better to do what that they wanted? And
I, that's also a really great question. I think when the Synapse came, we were all really excited because like the selling point for me, obviously, I like Power BI is one of my favorite tools, so I was so excited when they said, "Oh, it's gonna be right there. Power BI is gonna be inside Synapse. You can just pull data in and build all your things." But then it wasn't that cool, right? It wasn't that well integrated. It wasn't that flexible, and it wasn't really solving the things that I wanted it to. But I feel like Fabric is what they wanted to do with Synapse. And then the question is, why did they not do that with Synapse? I don't know. Maybe that could be all the reasons, right? Marketing, because now they want to reboot or relaunch this as something new. They probably also see the value of Power BI, right? Because that's the, like, at least one of the, or if not the key tool from Microsoft, their biggest success in the data world, right? Power
yep,
BI. So now pulling that, everyone loves Power BI, or Power BI is something that a lot of people love, at least. And then they can build on top of that, so that they have this great foundation and this, like, I mean, a lot of fans already, right? Because we already like the way Power BI works.
yep. And Martha, you're spot on, and it mirrors. You can't see this, but Andy Cutler, Mr. Synapse, is in the
Yeah,
chats, and
hello,
he is
Andy.
responding, and he kind of said exactly what you said. When
Oh
they
yeah,
realized they need to bring
yeah.
these things together, it was like, where do we have the users? Where do we have great user experience?
Mm,
And Synapse Data Studio just wasn't it, right? Like
mm,
everyone is in Power BI. I
mm,
mean, like millions of people are inside of Power BI,
mm,
and data engineers are in Synapse, and so that's great.
mm,
Um, but I believe what they said was, you know what, we got to redo so much of the UI.
mm,
We're going to bring this into the or into Fabric,
mm.
following the Power BI patterns, and we're just going to rewrite the stuff to make it so that it's common, it's simple to understand, and uh, I believe the strategy is start with the basic interface that's common across, and then add in the necessary features to build out all of those capabilities that
Yeah,
are inside of Synapse today. So
yeah, I
I
agree.
like to think of it as, have you worked much with SSAS, Martha?
Just in general, so software as a service in general. or
What? No,
SAS,
back like
actually.
on-prem SSAS, and I
Oh yeah,
guess
yeah, yeah.
like the
Thank you.
cloud SSAS. Yeah.
Well, no, I am not really. Like, it's just something I have to touch sometimes because I mean, there's data there, and then I'm pulling it into the cloud. So, so
Okay.
yeah.
Um.
So, yeah.
Uh. Well, I think of it a little bit like SSAS, where
Mm,
we had this on-prem server where we could log into the server, we could see all these logs. We had this whole like engineer interface that we could go and we could manage our models. Good for IT, bad for the users, right? Power
mm,
BI came along, gave this slick, amazing, light touch ability for users to create and manage models.
mm,
But it took like 3-4 years to bring over all of the engineering capabilities from analysis services into the Power BI place. I'm gonna
mm,
wager we're gonna see something similar with Synapse, where it's gonna be great for like that citizen engineer space
mm,
today. Um, but we're going to see that get enriched over time as we see more and more features come over. And then at
mm.
some point in time, people are going to be like, okay, we could just migrate in from Synapse over here. We'll have all the capabilities that we want, right?
Yeah. No, that's true. And I want to highlight also what Catherine is saying, because that's a key thing. So because Fabric is a software as a service, while Synapse is a platform as a service.
Mm.
So now you don't have to provision anything. You just, I want to build this data, and then you don't really care about the infrastructure that's behind it, or below it, or yeah. You just care about creating that insights or creating that value from your data assets. So that's also, I mean, that's where I like to be, right? Because I love the data modeling part, and I want to create the insights and the reports. So yeah, so that's great for me too, because then I'm less dependent on these infrastructure experts that are doing
Sure.
Terraform and all of that.
Oh my gosh. Please
Yeah,
no Terraform, right?
I know. All the things.
Um, Matthias has a question. He says, in Europe, we have our data often on premise and use gateways. So this is not Fabric land. Am I right?
Oh, that's a great question. So I don't I'm not sure how they're gonna do this, but so the concept is this one lake, right? So you're
Mm-hmm.
pulling all your data into one lake, and you're doing that using this thing called shortcuts. Now we're like digging into some things, but I'm trying to just do that without going too deep. But that means that you can virtually have all your data in one lake, but you don't have to store it there. And I am guessing that it's not there right now. I think everything is in preview, and we are really expecting a lot of additional things happening in Fabric, right? So the connection towards something on premise is not there yet, but I am expecting it to be, or like that would sort of make sense if you could do a connection towards a gateway or something. So maybe, but we don't know, or at least I haven't seen that today in the
Well,
preview view.
uh, I'm going to share a little thing here. So honestly, this is the one lake uh, view of what you have in Fabric, right? So
Mhm.
I think right now we have the ability to map in and connect in just like we would with OneDrive. And we could script and do our loads into that just like we would OneDrive. So
That's
uh,
true.
all it would really take for you to have a process to load things from wherever it is on prem into OneDrive is, and I have not done this, but I'm stepping out on a limb here. Is write a PowerShell script that you run on a server that has this connection into it, dropping files into one of your workspaces out there, right? And then
Yes,
all of a
that's true. You can yes, you can still there's ways to, or not. I'm not sure if I should say hack it, but I mean that's a really good point.
right? I mean, because if I've got my files right here, I can just go and I can dump files into. Oh, well, okay. Well, of course, you error when I'm talking about it, but maybe here, yeah, files, right? Really? Okay. Oh, whatever. But you could just write some scripts to bring that up and make that accessible for people, and then they're good to go, right? So, um, I think people, especially if you're bringing data into Power BI and you're using gateways to load that, well, you've already created those objects in the cloud, so that data is in the cloud already. Why not just manage it slightly separately? Have data flows that manage it, or pipelines, or any of these other objects, right? So I think there's options there, right? Awesome, awesome, awesome. Um, all right, let's keep talking. But we have not yet got quite to citizen data engineer yet, have
No, true. Okay,
we?
well,
Okay.
I will go back to
Yes.
yes, the
Yes.
slides. Okay, where were we? Yeah, okay. So, the part was about, well, you needed, I'm just gonna go one step back. You needed all these, or potentially you needed all these tools to govern your data. But now you have this one security feature that we don't really know what it looks like yet because it's not here, but it's coming. So that will be interesting to see. But also this one governance and administration layer that that's partly Synapse, but also some partly something. No, yeah, partly Purview. Sorry, it's partly Purview, but it's also some solutions that exist inside Fabric that you can take advantage of, like domains and so on. Yeah, but and like that's not the main topic now. But anyways, the idea here is that you have everything in, well, one place, and it's much easier to govern and have that control, right?
Right.
And then if we wrap AI around all of this, it becomes easier again, right? So the co-pilot is going to be wrapped around your Fabric solution so that it can well co-pilot your work and help you become more efficient and do things easier, right? So that was like the Fabric overview, trying to keep it like
This is
nice
Fabric.
and
We have
yeah, this
not
is
seen,
Fabric.
and for everyone, we haven't seen the AI assistant yet, have we?
No,
Yeah.
that's still in private preview. Yeah.
Yep. 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 So
So
nobody
we're
knows what
waiting
that
for that.
looks like, really. So
Yeah, but they've sent like there's this commercial or marketing material from Microsoft has these videos. So if you check them out, you can see what it's probably at least going to look like and how you can write prompts and get help with writing code and Power BI reports. I mean, it can also generate data pipelines for you. At least that's what they say. So that's cool. So that's something to check out if you're curious.
do
All
check that
right.
out.
Okay. So, what was this? We're going to try and summarize this. So, Fabric, yes, that's a software as a service. We don't have to provision anything. We can just click, okay, now I want to have this as a data lake, or I want to have this as a data warehouse or SQL endpoint or whatever, and it's just going to happen for you. So, that's really nice. It's an all-in-one solution where you can work with data movement, data storage, data science, real-time analytics, business intelligence, data governance, and also data security, at least when it when it comes, right?
Yep.
So that was like the summary. Okay. And now we're going to have a look at so we're talking about citizen data engineering, right? That's that's the topic. And that means that we're looking at the data engineering part, or at least that's what we're expecting to do, right? We're expecting to look at the data engineering part inside of a Fabric. And if you go into that view, these are the features that you can work with. So you can create a lakehouse, you can create a notebook, you can create a Spark job definition, a data pipeline, and also import existing notebooks if you want to. And this use a sample is really nice with Fabric that there's this sample features for all the experiences. So if you don't really know how to start play with Fabric, you can just use the sample, and then it's going to generate some for you, and then you can see, okay, then it's going to generate, for instance, a data lake or some notebooks for you, and then you can play around with that.
Awesome.
Okay, but that's the data engineering like experience inside Fabric. So that's data engineering. Okay, cool. But when we talk about citizen data engineering, we need to pull in the business intelligence component, at least if you ask me. And that's where the data flow Gen 2 and also data flow Gen 1, we'll come back to the difference. That's where they become really interesting. So if we're going to try and answer this, so what is a citizen data engineer? Well, this is also a question that I think is gonna the answer is gonna be different for different organizations, right? And it's gonna depend. But the key idea I think is that you have this person that might not be this full stack data engineer. It might not be the data engineer expert, but probably have some experience inside the business domain. Maybe it's a sales expert or a marketing expert or someone that is really good with analytics inside some sort of domain, but they can now also do some data engineering, or they understand and they understand their data really well, and can probably be valuable for them to do more than just do the reporting or just do the analytics. They might be able to do more.
And I
And
think the real
that's
nice thing that Fabric brings is, like we had citizen data engineering with the data flows, right? Like that was great. Then you can manage your pipes. But now we get enhanced control because now we can use things like data pipelines to help you manage your data flows. So that gives us some like operational, like, okay, I want to run this one, then I'm going to run this one, right? So very exciting.
Exactly. So there's more opportunities, and that's good, but that could also be a challenge. But yeah, I'm going to come back to that too. So sorry, I'm just dropping all these hints as I go here. Um, but so I think the data flow is one of the key features for the citizen data engineer, right? And it's connected towards the data pipelines. We're going to see that as well, which also leverage the opportunities and possibilities that you have with data flows. Before we go to the demo, I'm just gonna. Oh, we didn't learn this. Sorry, but we are going to learn this. So, what are data flows Gen 2, right? So, a data flow is in computing. Data flow is a broad concept which has various meanings depending on the application and context. That was what I got when I googled it from Wikipedia. So that's not helpful at all, right? But so I tried to make up my own definition. So a data flow is this configuration of combining, transforming, loading, and sending data, which sounds a lot like the ETL process, right? Which it might be or may not. Who knows? Let's see. Let's
Hang on,
see the
before we get to
demo.
the demo, we got two
Yeah.
questions in
Oh
the
yeah.
queue. Want to just quick
Questions.
hit on. First, Andy wants to know: are we going to have the same problems with like citizen data engineering that we have with like self-service BI? For example, governance. Who built it? Who manages it? Like, what's going to go on there? What's your take on this, Martha? How do you manage this?
Yes, I think it's gonna yes, right. So that's my struggle when I work with Fabric, because it's so cool that everyone can do everything in theory, at least, right? Because
Yeah.
everything is one place and everything is there, and it's easier to use because it's closer to Power BI, or it's closer to what we've been working with before. But that also means that there's more people that can do the wrong things.
Yeah.
So I think for this specifically the citizen data engineers, I think the how you govern the workspaces and how you set up the workspaces is going to be really important for Fabric. And I think one solution could be that you have this one workspace where you can pull in your data citizen or citizen data engineers. They can be there. They can have access to these things, and they are allowed to put data these places. And that could be a high value. They can do more, but it's still limited, right? You're not giving them the entire thing, so they don't mess up your one source of truth gold layer or whatever you want to make sure that they don't do something with, right? So
Right.
so I think the citizen data engineers is going to make it easier to test out proofs of concepts. I mean, there's so much that they can do that will be valuable. And they can also do these smaller changes if they just need that or just need this. Okay, cool, great, you can do that now by yourself. You don't need the data engineer team to help you. But for these production best practices, you might still want to make sure that, well, you're following the best practices.
This is where I think we get a huge advantage in Fabric on the citizen data engineering side, is especially if I think about my different layers inside of my data lake,
Mhm.
my bronze, my silver, my gold. This provides the opportunity for those centralized teams that want to manage all of those items to manage all of those layers and all of those like enterprise grade transformation logics and all of that stuff. They can sit and they can have that in place. And they can have endorsements on all of those to say, these are all of our certified assets that exist at bronze, silver, and gold. But then through linking and sharing, you could give other people like access to bronze or access to silver or access to gold, where those and citizen data engineers can extend those capabilities and make it like a tin, right? So it's bronze and it's been, it's modified bronze, right? Or if it's
Mm.
a
Mm.
modified silver, or if it's enriched gold, so that they can add on those additional layers without having to recopy and rebuild all of the data assets that are underneath it, right? So if I just put a
Mm.
view on top of that centralized content and I manage that in this my space in my workspace, uh, I can add all those customizations, that business logic that I want, and I can do it within like standard languages that my organization supports, be it SQL, Python, any of that, and then it can be consumed out from there. So I
Mm.
think that is going to be a huge advantage we're going to see here.
No, I agree. I agree, and I think also the um yeah, the opportunity space is bigger, and also if you're working with the like the data mesh way of thinking, and you might have
Mhm.
some centralized things, but then it might make sense to, or it could be really valuable to not have to have these heavy data engineering technical people inside your domain, because maybe that's not possible. But then you can leverage these easier ways and still manage your data inside your domain, right, and inside your your part of the mesh.
That is spot on. Let's head over to get to your demo.
Oh
Otherwise,
yeah,
we'll
the
have
demo. Okay, cool. We're talking way too much. Okay, now I need to change what I'm showing. Wait. Oh, now there's some technical things.
of
Let me
course.
try and change this, and then like that. I just need to.
While you're pulling that up,
Yeah.
we had a question about CI/CD. I posted Rui Romano's just has a huge blog about Power BI and DevOps and all the integration points that are coming in there. So that's going to be a huge thing that we'll be able to leverage in the future. All right, to your
Yeah,
demo.
true. All right. Okay. So now we're gonna have a look at. Okay. So I think, well, the disclaimer is that there's so many things you can do, right? But I am going to focus on the data flow part. I'm not saying that's the only thing that your citizen data engineer would do, um, but I think that's one of the key things. So now I'm inside Fabric, and if I click here, we have all of these different views, right? And just for fun, we can click at the data engineering experience, and then we're gonna see, after it's thinking for a while, it's gonna hopefully show us the different components that you could create, that we had in the slides. And obviously the chocolate that I gave to the gods, now it worked. Okay, I just had to remind them. Perfect. uh,
The
okay.
bribes were paid.
Yeah.
Sacrifices have gone out.
Exactly, it just took some time. But here we have these different views, but the data lake is not here as a thing that you can use. And I think, or I mean, that's just speculation, but these are more hardcore data engineering components. But if we're coming from the citizen view, we might be coming from the Power BI experience. And here I saw, now it changed. Why did it do that to me? That's really rude.
Are you in the? You're in the Power BI experience. Is that what you wanted?
Yeah, I did, but I did that on purpose, but now I didn't do the rest on purpose.
Okay.
Okay, so sometimes it shows the components that you can create here, and one of those would have been the data lake, no, the data flow Gen 2. So now I'm going to cheat. I'm going to jump into a workspace. Let's choose this one, my demo workspace. And I want to click new. And I want to create data flow. But I don't want to create the data flow here because that's the data flow Gen 1. So that's the one that you might have already been using for in your Power BI service solution. But if I click more options, you see here are all the things that I can create inside my workspace. And if I scroll down to Power BI, here we see the different things that I can create. And why can't I see my Power BI? Oh, I'm all over the place. I'm sorry. Here I see it below Data Factory. Ta-da. The Data Flow Gen 2. So we're going to have a look at that. So we're going to click create. And then for anyone who has been using Power BI Desktop and looking into Power Query or data flows, Gen 1 or just data flows inside Power BI Service, you probably use this view, right? This is Power Query Online. And what I can do now is that I can get data from a source if I want that, the same way that you would have with your data flow Gen 1 or in Power Query. And now one cool thing is that you can choose to connect your data straight from your OneLake Data Hub. So if I click here, I see all the data assets that I have inside my OneLake. And well, let's see. We can see if we have some data inside my data Ascend Lakehouse 2. So because that's certified, so that's also good. I certified it myself, but still, it might be okay. So I'm gonna click on that, and then it needs some time to think. And cool. Now we see the assets that I have inside my data lake house. And like what we can do is that we can choose the tables that we want to pull in. So that could, for instance, be these goal tables. And in the same way that you would have in Power Query, when you click on these, you will get the preview of what data you're pulling in. So that's great. And then we can just click create. And then it's going to pull us right into the Power Query view. So this is where you transform your data and well do the necessary changes that you want for doing different types of transformations. And usually those transformations are small, right? Or hopefully they are small because you want to do the transformations as close as the source as possible. That's where you want to
Far
know
upstream as possible, as far downstream
as
necessary,
necessary.
right?
Yes, exactly.
All
So
right.
that still counts.
Yep. The catechism must be followed.
Yeah. So that still holds. We're still using that rule. But if you for whatever reason need to pull more data in, or you want to do some proofs of concept or do some testing, this is a great way to do that. So now I see the previews of my data, and I can do different things. What should I do? Let's
Now,
see here.
this is the same thing as what people are accustomed to in Power BI, right?
Yes, exactly the same. But okay, so with maybe some differences. There might be some things up here in your bar that's different from your Power Query view in desktop or Power Query view in Power BI service. But that is because they are working on it, right? So it's gonna, if you have something one place, it's probably soon gonna appear in the other place. Yeah. So that's
Okay.
cool. You can do your transformations, pull in the query the steps that you want. But then the one of the highlights here is that you can choose your data destination. So if I click on plus here, I can actually choose to decide, okay, I want to take this data. Now I took it from my data lakehouse. I want to do these transformations. I want to do some fixes or make this quality better or rename something. Also, if you're working with files, sometimes you have to do a lot of steps before the file makes sense inside Power BI, right, or Power Query. So that those steps are something you might want to just fix and then make the data appear smoother somewhere else. And then you can just decide, okay, I want to put this data somewhere. So let's choose that we want to choose to pull it into a lakehouse as just a demo. I click next. And then here I see my different, this is actually my different workspaces. So I can choose to put it into a different workspace, but I think I need to have a lake house existing there. Okay. So let's put it into the Data Vikings Data Vikings workspace, and let's put it into, not that this might not make too much sense from like the practical point of view, right? But you would pull it from some place and put it into a place that made sense. And I want to put it into my Dataflow staging lakehouse, and the table name should be dim date gold. Cool. I'll click next. And then I can actually decide, okay, do I want to append my data or do I want to replace it? Because every time you run your data flow, you can decide, okay, this is something I'm appending, so I'm just adding the rows, or I'm replacing existing rows, right? And you can also decide what the source type should be, if that's something you want to change, and then click Save Settings.
But there's no merge capabilities, right? You're either tacking it on at the end or it's becoming the whole thing. Is that right?
Yes. Yes. So we're missing the data, the data warehouse specific functionality where you're actually taking care of slowly changing dimensions and all of that, right? So that's not here. So it's not solving all your problems, but it's like it can do some, like it can do some of your work for you, or make some of your life easier, parts of your life easier, right? But it's not the whole thing. So now we've added this data destination. That's cool. For this dim date gold, that was the one. If I want to add it for the other sources, I could do that as well. And then if I click publish, yay. That was quick, amazing. Now I created a new data flow. We called it data flow 3 because
Is
we
that
didn't
done?
have to name.
It's
What,
done
sorry?
already?
Yeah, so now
cow.
it's loading, and now it's so that's also a new thing. So previously in Dataflow's Gen 1, you had to manually refresh, or maybe that's changed there as well, but not that long ago. At least you had to manually refresh the first time you did it, because you only put up the queries, right? You didn't actually pull the data into your flow. But now it loads for you, so it's doing this for you. So now it's setting this data. So now it's automatically refreshed my data. I'm not sure if you saw that, but it's running here. So, and now of course I should have remembered where I put it, but I think it was in Data Vikings. And then where did I put it? I put it in a lake house, right?
Yes.
Was it this one? Was it this one?
It was small for me. I missed it.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Sorry. So that's, I mean, you should know where you put your data. That's definitely, yes, it was here. So now we see actually that dim date gold is here. Now it exists inside my other data lake, inside a different workspace. That's kind of cool.
Oh, that is so
Oh,
cool.
oh,
That
and now
is
it failed.
fantastic.
Okay, so I should just have left this view before it failed, but the preview is loading, maybe because I was too quick. Maybe because, yay, it worked.
Yay.
Amazing. Okay, so now we have it here. That was cool. And I just want to show one more thing. I'm running out of time. I see it. Just going to show one more thing. And that is, if we now want to create a pipeline, data pipeline, I click on that. If it lets me. Yeah, it should be called something cool. We'll call it pipeline 1 now. And then
That's pretty cool.
that's cool. That's awesome. And then we can see now how the data flow and the ADF features, or the pipeline features, are merged. So now I could pull in my activities. Do I have to do the whole thing? No, cool. Yeah, so I could pull in copy activities, do the things that you would normally do in Azure Data Factory. But the one thing I want to show you is that I can also pull in a data flow.
What?
So I can, in my, what? So amazing. so now I can, when I save this pipeline, it will also refresh my data flow. So I can use my data flow as a component or it will really as an entire pipeline, right? And then it will move my data every night or whenever I say that my pipeline should run. So I can pull in my specific data flow. So so these are the ones that I have in this workspace, the data flows for views. But anyways, it's a couple of data flows. And now that's going to be the data flow in here, and it can run whenever I say my pipeline should run.
See, this is just
Making use of that.
fantastic. I
Yeah.
absolutely love the ability to have pipelines where you can now have much more control over your loads, because I have always liked to have so that I could have code control and management over my loads. Uh, I've always liked to have like my data flows individually defined for each table. Then you have to schedule them all. It'd be so much nicer if I could just have like a pipeline where I could then say, okay, hey, here's all my data flows, and I could just map those in. Then I could define what happens on failure, right? On success, great.
Yes. Yes.
On
That's a
failure,
good point.
retry 3 times. If it then fails, then notify me of an alert. Because did you know that 3 is the magic number? 3 is how many times you should do a retry on a process. 4 is straight out useless. 2 will handle most situations. 3 will get you to 99% of like connectivity issues where like temporary locks could hold things up. But going to 4 doesn't get you anything else. It's
Yeah.
3.
Then you should get the email. Then you need someone to send you the email.
Right. Then you need the
Yeah.
email. Now you can do that though. Isn't that incredible?
Yes, you can automate it. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And and you can also say that, okay, whenever my data is pulled into bronze, then I want my data flow to pull that data into gold or somewhere, right?
Right.
Or I want all my data in this workspace to be ready. Then you can run and pull this data into. You can run these notebooks before, and then you can So that's pretty cool.
So much cool stuff. So awesome. Well, thank you guys all. Thank you, Martha, for coming and showing us this great stuff. Thank you all, everyone who's in the chat for joining us today. We ran a little bit long, but that's fine. This is great content here. Martha, before we go, any parting words for the audience?
Oh wow. Okay. Oh yeah. So even though Microsoft Fabric makes everything easier to do, you still need to do it right.
Yes. Yep. And that's where like centers of excellence come into play to help out citizen data engineers in getting these things up and running. Because while some of the stuff is easier, it is still tricky. And that just kind of made me think. We were talking in the chat while you're presenting about like slowly changing dimensions. I think I might actually be okay that the low code doesn't have that. So I think that might be too complex for a lot of business users, right? Like
Yes.
almost
Yeah.
easier to like, okay, if you're going to try to learn and manage that, learn Python to create a notebook
then you need the whole thing
that does
right?
that, right? Because you're going to need that to cleanse it and all sorts of stuff at that point. So awesome. Well, thank you all so very much for joining us today. I really appreciate it. You coming in to be a part of the conversation. Martha, fantastic. Thank you for everything. This is just great.
Thank you for having me. It's been a lot of fun.
100%. All right, everybody. Peace.
Bye.
Baker Tilly Digital combines strategic industry insight and advanced technical expertise to uncover and solve your digital transformation challenges. If you're interested in learning more, check out our website at bakertilly.com/digital.